With new content dropping on August 22nd, which builds are going to be the best for endgame for you to bring into and kind of enjoy beating the crap out of Destiny 2? First off, we're going to be talking about the Arc Hunter, one of my personal favorites, getting super in 30 seconds. Can't believe it's not been nerfed yet. I mean, you can literally just use double hands-on with Dynamo and just dodge, punch, everything, and get your super within 30 seconds, while also charging your grenades every time you punch, throwing your nades, jolting targets, causing ionic traces. You know where I'm going with this. It's the Assassin's Cowl Arc Hunter build. Now, me personally, I'm more of a Liar's Handshake, but with Liar's Handshake not working correctly with Gathering Storm for some reason, if you have Gathering Storm equipped, you go to melee stuff and you don't get that counter punch. I know it's a known issue. Hopefully Bungie fixes it soon. But me personally, I've been enjoying Star Eater scales when you're running these exotic boots. It's not only giving you one of the best DPS options in the game for endgame, especially for the new raid Crota. You never know, we might be able to throw it at them. But what are we going to be able to use for this hunter? So I'm not going to go over the whole build. I'm going to put these mods on screen on what I've been using for my build. Personally, I just wanted to tell you how good the Arc Hunter is going to be. Pretty much always having your super up, always having high DPS, always being able to dodge and blind enemies, taking on all three champions. All you have to do is run an anti-barrier weapon like Arbalist, and you can use your nades to jolt overloads and dodge punch to hit an unstoppable. This build is definitely one of my favorites, and I will be taking it into season 22 to see how I can make it better. Now we're going to be talking about the Warlock, and if you didn't think that I was going to mention the most broken ad clear setup in the game, and it's not Sunbracers, you'd be crazy. This Sunbracers build just literally makes every play you make in the game simply easier. Plus you have your well. Using this in the raid to buff your teammates damage while also having some of the best ad clear in the game is hands down one of the best builds you can run. Going over the Sunbracers build, your whole purpose is to get your melee back as quickly as you can while getting kills. And when you pick up those orbs and fire sprites, you're going to be getting non-stop restoration, meaning you can't die. These builds are pretty simple to go over with the mods. Mainly, you're going to be focusing on ashes to assets, gaining super energy from your grenade kills because you're going to be using so many of those solar grenades, be spamming. If you're using a lot of solar weapons, you can use harmonic siphon. Moving on to your gauntlets, you're going to be using ways to generate your snap or your celestial fire melee as fast as you possibly can, while also making orbs of power from your grenades. On your boots, I personally like using recuperation, invigoration, and absolution because you're non-stop charging your abilities, because this is a nade spammy build. Now again, if you're going into DPS, you can always switch to a different pair of boots that has triple surges, so you get 22% damage output. Using your rift while using powerful attraction is pretty much busted. It's picking up all the orbs of power around you, giving you your snap or your melee back, whatever you're using. Me personally, I like the snap because it's cool and you're always going to be able to spam. Pay attention to keeping up your restoration, buffing your teammates, destroying all the enemies in the room, and just remember to not throw grenades at the boss, because when you spam a whole bunch of solar grenades at a boss, your teammates can't see. But who knows, maybe the solar grenades are going to be able to keep Crota down like they did in D1, but hands down Sunbracers build is definitely one of my favorites, and hopefully this build will help you in your endgame. Now we move on to the Titan, and we all know that I'm going to suggest that Solar Titan bonk. Wait a minute, you know what, we're going to switch it up. We're going to give you the Arc Monster Titan. We all know that an Arc Titan is very strong in endgame, ad clear, and using Arc Super to damage bosses in endgame. So I'm going to be suggesting the good old Heart of Immortals Light Titan, mainly because you can use this for ad clear, kind of like the Solor Warlock. But when you're going into DPS, you can simply switch to Curse of Falling Star and get huge damage output with your super, while also jolting targets with your grenades and using your weapons. Anyways, why is Arc Titan so good? Well, it's just, again, it's like the Arc Hunter. You can simply run an anti-barrier weapon, and you can use Seismic Strike because it blinds enemies now, and you can stun champions with your melee and also jolt targets with your grenades, which is overload, and then you would use anti-barrier, whatever weapon of your choice. I've been running Thunderclap. So using Thunderclap while using thrusters and spamming your grenades, you're simply just trying to get amplified as fast as you can, pick up ionic traces because of the fragments you're running on your subclass, which I will show here in a second, and trying to chain your abilities as fast as you can so you can get that ad clear and always stay amplified and kind of run around and nothing's really stopping you in the game. Fan favorites that they like to use for this build would be like Forbearance or Trinity Ghoul, because you can simply ad clear enemies so quickly and get ionic traces on the ground and get amplified, and using Heart of Immol's Light to cycle your abilities. We know it got nerfed, but you can definitely use some mods that I'm getting ready to show you to help get your abilities back quicker. So if you're using arc weapons, I suggest using Arc Siphon, and you're going to be spamming tons of grenades with this build. So using double ashes is going to give you your super as fast as you can. Firepower, your grenades are going to create final blows. Running mods like bolstering detonation and momentum transfer are going to give you your abilities back faster, so you can cycle through that Heart of Immol's Light empowering recharge abilities. Moving on to your boots, I definitely suggest using recuperation, invigoration, and absolution. You could switch these out the way you would like, but you should always run something on your boots. While picking up an orb, it generates more abilities, so you can cycle them even faster. I recommend swapping off some of these mods on your boots while going into DPS, or if you would like to have a flat DPS on your weapons while you're doing like a nightfall or something, you can always take off too. I always keep on recuperation because I like to be healed, but again, if you're playing with a fire team, definitely switch your boots to triple surge so you're not the lowest DPS in the fire team, because we all know people forget those mods going into boss DPS. And moving on to the class item, you're going to be running double bomber with powerful attractions, so that every time you use your thrust, you will be picking up those orbs and generating more grenade energy, thrust energy, clap energy, you name it. Everyone knows this build, but again, it is definitely something to keep your eye on for next season, because if you're not running Bonk, probably running a Arc Titan is definitely going to be really good in endgame activities. And again, still one of my favorite Titan builds that I could use. Getting to the end, again, this video was just to introduce to you guys some builds to run in the new season if you wanted to switch it up. If you're a returning player, a new player, or you're a veteran just looking for some tips and tricks, what mods and what builds people are using. Hopefully this video helped you out. Don't forget to sub, like, share, comment, you name it. I appreciate you. Can't wait to grind on the 22nd. Peace.